Welcome to the Female Church Leaders Podcast, a weekly resource for women who love God, love the church, and are called to lead. I'm your host, Kadi Cole, church leader, author, and executive coach. After more than 30 years in full-time ministry, often as the only woman at the table, I understand how meaningful yet challenging your calling can be. That's why I created this podcast, to remind you that you're not leading alone. Each week, I'll share practical tools, biblical insights, and honest encouragement for the real challenges female leaders face in ministry, so you can grow your skills, strengthen your faith, and lead with more confidence and joy without burning out or striving to prove yourself. We drop a new episode every Monday because Sunday is coming and you are going to be ready for it. As we head into the spring, and especially toward Easter, the pace of ministry almost always increases. More services, more people, more expectations, more emotional weight. And if you're anything like the female church leaders I work with, your instinct isn't to step back, it's to step up. You care deeply. You want things to go well. You don't want to drop the ball for your church, your team, or the people God has entrusted to you. So today, I want to talk about something that's both incredibly practical and deeply spiritual: sustainability. Not self-care as an indulgence, not me time as an escape, but sustainability as faithfulness over time. Because burnout is not inevitable, and exhaustion does not have to be the price of obedience. Here's a framework that's been really helpful for me. Human beings are actually a renewable resource, but not an unlimited one. God designed us with renewal built in. When we're operating in our gifts, aligned with our calling, and growing in skill and maturity, the work itself often gives us energy. There's joy, there's momentum, there's satisfaction. And over time, the work actually gets easier, not harder, because we're more competent and more confident. But leadership, especially spiritual leadership, also has a cost. We carry responsibility. We absorb pressure. We navigate burdens. We manage expectations, often unrealistic ones. And when something gets added without anything else being adjusted, many women instinctively absorb that extra cost. Not because we're weak, but because we're capable and committed, and we don't want to let people down. Sustainability is about learning how to keep your engine running strong, so all the areas of your life that depend on you can continue to flourish. And this matters because burnout is often misunderstood. Burnout is not a character flaw. It's not a lack of faith. And it's not a sign that you're not cut out for leadership. Research consistently shows that burnout usually begins not with laziness, but with overly ambitious goals. Let me say that again. Burnout begins with overly ambitious goals. Good goals, meaningful goals, important goals, just too many of them, all at once, and often carried by just one person. So if you're feeling tired, overwhelmed, or a little frayed at the edges, that's not something to be ashamed of. It's information, and information allows us to adjust, not quit. I want to keep this very practical because sustainability only works if it's doable. So let's talk about 3 foundational areas that support long-term leadership. They are physical, spiritual, and relational. First, physical sustainability. Now, this isn't complicated, but it is foundational. Are you sleeping enough to think clearly? Are you moving your body most days? Are you actually stopping long enough to eat? You don't need a perfect routine. You just need enough margin to function well. Well-rested leaders make better decisions. Hungry, exhausted leaders tend to overreact or shut down. Second, spiritual sustainability, a daily connection with God and a weekly Sabbath. I'll be honest, this is a hard one for me, especially taking a full day for Sabbath. My mind loves to just solve one more thing or answer that one quick email, fix one small problem. But Sabbath works a lot like tithing. When I trust God with 6 days, He somehow multiplies the work. Daily connection and Sabbath aren't a luxury. It's a declaration that God is the one sustaining the ministry, not you. And third, relational sustainability. Do you have 1 or 2 relationships where you are not in ministry mode? Conversations where you can truly be yourself. You are supported and celebrated. And there are times when you are poured into, not just pouring out. Ministry relationships are beautiful, but when you're always the one giving, carrying, initiating, and holding it all together, sustainability starts to erode over time. See, healthy sustainability requires discernment, not just devotion. And part of that discernment is this simple truth. Not everything needs to be done at an A+ level, which can be a hard lesson to learn, especially if you are used to getting straight A's. But sometimes a B or even a C is faithful. I've told my son many times, C's still get degrees. And often your C-level effort is someone else's A+ experience. So ask yourself, what is the main outcome I'm trying to achieve here? What can I simplify? What can I delegate? What can be good enough instead of perfect? Excellence isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things well and at a pace you can sustain. Paul writes in Galatians 6:9, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Notice what Paul assumes. Weariness is possible, but it is not the goal nor the expectation. Sustainability is what allows you to stay faithful, to finish the work God has given you to do. Jesus prayed in John 17:4 that he had completed the work entrusted to him. And it's worth remembering, Jesus didn't heal everyone. He didn't meet every expectation. Some people walked away very disappointed, and yet he was still fully obedient. He still finished his assignment. And that same faithfulness is available to you, not by doing everything, but by doing what God has actually asked of you in a way that is sustainable for all of your callings. So here's one simple action step for this week. Choose one rhythm you will protect through the upcoming Easter season. Maybe it's sleep or Sabbath, daily movement, a weekly supportive conversation, or a more realistic goal. Choose just one. You don't have to fix everything. You just need to interrupt the drift. If this conversation feels especially relevant right now, you are not alone. Sustainability is one of the core pillars we work through in our Closing the Leadership Gap cohort, because strong leadership only matters if it lasts. Enrollment is closing soon, so if you're sensing that this is a season to invest in your leadership and your longevity, you can learn more at closingtheleadershipgap.com. You're not weak for needing rhythms. You're wise for building them. And we are here to cheer you on. I'm so glad we got to spend this time together on the Female Church Leaders Podcast. I hope you're walking away encouraged, equipped, and reminded that your calling truly matters. To keep growing, join us for our next Closing the Leadership Gap cohort at closingtheleadershipgap.com. It's a guided coaching experience, including live Q&A with me, designed to accelerate your leadership journey. If this podcast has been helpful to you, would you please take a moment to follow, rate, and share it? Your engagement helps the algorithms suggest our resources to female church leaders we haven't had a chance to meet yet. And don't forget to follow at Female Church Leaders on Instagram for encouragement and leadership tools designed just for you. You can also follow my personal feed at Kadi Cole, spelled Kadicole. Keep leading faithfully, keep growing your leadership gifts, and I'll see you next Monday, because Sunday is coming and you are going to be ready for it.